I'd like to kind of change the tone here. Like Councilor Johnson says, I appreciate the fact that it's very confusing. I'm obviously not a lawyer and it's 50-50. But I would like to take a different tack here. As a policymaker, it's not my place to get into the legal details. That's your guys's. But as far as establishing what we as an organization ought to do, it seems to me that our primary fiduciary responsibility is to try to protect the assets of our community. And so therefore it seems clear to me that if we have this opportunity, that seems very clear cut that it is open space land for us, that we should do everything we can to make that happen. And so it seems to me that we ought to be giving you different direction, that we should be directing you to do everything you can to preserve this property in the city's ownership. And procedurally, I don't know how we want to do this, but I would like to say that we would like to direct staff to do whatever we can to take the side of the citizens and try to get clear title to this land and make this a park or open space.
I will obviously do whatever the council as a whole directs me to do, but I can tell you I don't see any basis on which to make that claim or that assertion without violating my rules of the rules of professional conduct and the rules that govern an attorney making groundless and frivolous claims. I just don't see it. I'd be happy to do that if that was the case, but I don't see an avenue that I could do that and making a decent claim or even a claim that had any merit at all on behalf of the city.
So to staff, if I wanted to make a motion to, as Councilor Stocker suggested, I believe that the terminology was a revocation of the disclaimer of interest. How would we do that procedurally?
Under general business.
Well, it's been the practice of the council for some time that motions on non-agenda items would be dealt with in general business, but the mayor has the option of entertaining a motion at any time.
I'll entertain it right now.
Okay, then I would move for the that we direct staff to file a motion, file the appropriate legal language for the revocation of the disclaimer of interest.
Thank you. All right, we have a motion.
Mayor, I'd like to second that.
We have a motion and a second. Go ahead. You got to clear your vote there, or I guess I can clear the vote. There we go.
I just want to say, Councilor Wickman and Councilor Roybal, I know we're going to vote on this, but from my perspective, I understand there are some citizens that really wish that this were open space. But from my perspective, the city taking on the school district and taking land away from a school district isn't in the city's best interest. I love open space as much as anyone, but you don't just swipe other people's land, and especially, I mean, really, the school district who, supports our children. I mean, for me, that's a tough call, and I understand the people that are close to it really passionately believe this, but if you take a step back, I think there's got to be a lot of people out there that are like, maybe the city shouldn't try to take land from the school district, but I could be crazy. Thanks.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Councilor Paul?
I just would like Councilor Wickman to clarify his motion. Could you please repeat that?
Okay, the motion is a revocation of our disclaimer of interest. Is that the correct legal language?
Councilor Wickman, it's your motion.
Okay, a move to revocate the disclaimer of interest.
So a yes vote would
revoke our disclaimer of interest.
Okay, thank you.
Quinn and Johnson.
All right. Councilor Quinn? I don't want a lot of debate on this, really.
I just need to clarify on which
Scott?
vote is yes or no. What does that? I just really want to clarify.
Yeah, I do too. Councilor Wickman, can you repeat the motion?
We direct staff to revoke our disclaimer of interest. with a yes vote would mean we do the revocation.
Is that clear? Mr. Cox?
I think we would be rescinding or revoking or withdrawing our disclaimer of interest if that were the vote of the council. I do just want to point out for the record, procedurally speaking, at our last meeting, there was a suggestion that we have a motion to stop spending money on this lawsuit. That never developed into a motion. And I just want to point out that the disclaimer of interest would have allowed the city to state its position and not spend money defending a claim that we did not think we could defend or asserting a claim we did not think we could assert. If we revoke the disclaimer, we'll now become active participants arguing affirmatively for ownership of the land, which would run contrary to the position taken over the last 2 years, and in fact the last 30 years in the memos that Mr. Wilson referred to. We'd be spending significantly more money. We're now, as I said, a week away from the oral argument. The case could be resolved within a matter of weeks, pending any appeals. But the case essentially would start over if the judge would even allow us to revoke or rescind our disclaimer at this late
Okay, that's all I need to hear.
Okay. All right, so that's fine. We have a motion and a second. Please cast your votes. And the motion fails. The nays are Murphy, Kellen, Quinn, King, Wilson, Barroway, Johnson, Paul, and Coop. Thank you, Mr. Wilson. The use of the consent agenda has been made to, do you want to say anything?
Well, I just had a follow-up.
Okay.
And I guess, looking back through our documents, and I would maybe ask for a response from Councilor Wickman or Councilor Roybal. Looking back through our documents, our emails, we've received updates over the last year and a half, periodic updates as to the position we've been taking, where we are in the case. And I'm curious as to why we wait till tonight to take a stand publicly for or against. And I'm just curious, and I'd like to, if I could, hear a response.
Okay, I assume it's directed at me. Well, the answer is obvious. The last couple of meetings, we've had some very good presentations from the citizens group, and I found it compelling. And to ignore it at this point would be unconscionable. As I said, one of my primary values is protecting our open space, and so when the opportunity avails itself, I think we should do that.
All right. All right, no response from Mr. Roybal. Okay. The use of the consent agenda has been made to expedite council action. It contains both resolutions and first reading ordinances. Resolutions are items of a routine nature, and there is one of them on the consent agenda tonight that the public will have an opportunity to comment on in a moment. First reading ordinances, and there are several, 3 if I remember right, on the consent agenda, appear only for the purpose of setting future